Hello everybody out there, welcome to the table. Today we're making some comparisons between these two flashlights that I happen to own. I think they kind of fit the same niche in the flashlight category, and I think they're actually super comparable to one another. So the lights we're looking at here, number one is the Streamlight Wedge, and the second light here, this is the Coast Slayer. And so we can see based on size, they are very similar in size. They have this flat profile, so I definitely think they are meant to be, honestly, direct competitors with one another. So we'll make some quick comparisons between these two lights, and if you don't own any of these yet, why you might want to own one. So first off, we can see the profiles of these lights are flat. And now a traditional pocket flashlight that you might carry, a good high power one, like this one right here, you'll notice, of course, it's rounded because of the shape of the battery. And so what that does is when you're carrying these lights in pocket, you can see the difference in thickness there. So the traditional round flashlight tends to be a little bit more bulky in your pocket, and I think that's what these lights are aiming to kind of alleviate from your traditional flashlight shape here. And so the Streamlight Wedge, I believe this one's been on the market longer. A lot of us recognize the Streamlight branding, and so this one I think is a very nice design. And very recently I just saw the Coast style, or the Coast Slayer, and I thought that these would just, again, make for a great comparison because of the similarity in size. So how large are these lights? We can just see really quick overall size. Both of them are so similar. They both weigh or measure in at about 5.5 inches long. And we can see the width of the light is about 1 inch wide. And in terms of thickness, a little over 1/2 inch thick. And again, it's going to be about the same for the Streamlight as well. About 5.5 inches overall, about 1 inch in thickness, and a little over 1/2 inch in the width. So again, these lights are super comparable to one another. You can see that, I mean, size-wise, they are almost identical. I mean, putting them side by side like this, you can see what we're working with here. Even weight-wise, they are very similar in weight. So our Coast Slayer weighs in at about 3.2 ounces, and our Streamlight Wedge weighs in at about 3.04 ounces. So it's really not even a noticeable difference, to be honest with you, in the weight. In hand, they feel about the same. So how do they compare to each other as lights? And again, there are some cool features here that we have as lights. And I think since the Coast is a newer model, they kind of incorporated some things, like they were trying to one-up the Wedge here. And feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about any of these things. But again, the way these lights function, our Streamlight Wedge here, it's super simple design. There's an on switch right here. You switch it on, the light turns on, and if you push forward and hold it, there's a turbo setting. You let go of it, the turbo setting goes away, and that's it. Very simple, straightforward design. Pretty simple to use, easy to figure out. This is not the kind of light you need a manual to really operate. So very simple design there. And Coast, I think they kind of wanted to one-up the Wedge here, because what we see are two buttons. Not that it's confusing or anything, but there are several modes on the Coast light. So we can see there is a low-powered flood, high-powered flood, a spot, low-powered flood, and then off. So there are those different settings. If you want a turbo mode, you just hold the light down, and then it goes into a turbo mode, which lasts about 30 seconds. And on both lights, the turbo mode does max out at about 30 seconds long. Essentially, they don't want you burning out the battery with heat issues, accumulating on the light. They don't want you to damage the light. So both lights have a turbo mode that's a little over 1,000 lumens. And again, those cap out at around 30 seconds of runtime. Where the Coast Slayer here does kind of one up the Wedge, in my opinion, is this second button down here. Because again, we have all of these awesome settings to run through, but if you just want one setting at quick notice, you can use this button right here to program what it is you prefer. So let's say you prefer the high beam right here. You just have to hold this second button down for a few seconds. It flashes, and then next time you turn on the light, with that button, it just goes straight to the setting you like, and on and off. And so that's as equivalent as doing that. Same thing there. So it's kind of cool to have that extra setting there, to have options. We can see, of course, that there's only one bulb on the Wedge, and we have two here on the Coast. So there's a little bit of difference in thickness there at the tip. But really, again, those two different bulbs allow those different types of settings to occur. So it's pretty cool. And again, both lights do have that heat warning, because if you run this for a super long time, the tips of these lights do get pretty warm. Both lights have full, aluminum construction. So it keeps it lightweight, keeps it durable, helps with the heat dissipation. Design-wise, the Wedge, of course, this was the first one, so it's meant just to lay flat in your pocket. Has a pocket clip, which we'll talk about in just a second. The Coast here, this is actually kind of a cool design, very ergonomic in the hand, and I think they were kind of going for like the shape of like a handgun slide. So if you have like a pistol slide, it has those same little grooves on it. So I think that's kind of what they were going with design-wise. But again, also has a pocket clip. So I think they were definitely trying to emulate the Wedge here, at least in terms of size, shape, functionality. They did want to one-up Streamlight, and I think they kind of did with the actual function of the light, because we have those two different buttons for the functions compared to the simple knob on the Wedge. And it's really going to be a toss-up as to which one you prefer. In terms of durability, both of these lights are rated waterproof. So our Coast here is IP67 rated, and the Coast and the Streamlight is IPX7, which basically means they got about 30 minutes of waterproofness, I guess you could say. I wouldn't go diving with these lights. I wouldn't leave them in your trunks when you go swimming. But if you drop them in a bucket, in a puddle of muddy water, it's not going to harm the light at all. Both of these lights also, they are very handy in that they recharge right here on the light through USB-C. So right here on the Wedge, you can see there's an open USB-C port, easy to get to. What's kind of nice, again, on the Coast, they were thinking about things. They put this rubber door here to protect that USB-C port. And so if you're, work in an industry with lots of dust and stuff getting into things, I think the port might be a good idea. This is just more of an open design. And this is one of the complaints I've heard about the Wedge, is just that this USB-C is just sitting there open, whereas this is a protected port. Possible downside, though, is if this rubber door gets damaged and gets, falls off, gets torn off, then you might lose some of that waterproofness, because I would assume the waterproof rating on this light is contingent on this rubber door being sealed shut. So in the long term, the Wedge might have the advantage in that it's waterproof with the open design, whereas the Coast, once this rubber door comes off, it may or may not be waterproof anymore. I'm not sure about that, but that's my initial thoughts. Both really cool lights. Again, one thing I will mention, you'll notice the pocket clips, because these lights are meant to kind of emulate something like your pocket knife in your pocket, with the thinness, the pocket clip. So we can see they're definitely kind of trending toward, these are the things you'll keep in your pocket. Deep carry pocket clips, very functional. I will give the Wedge the edge. That's kind of funny. I'll give the Wedge the one up over the Coast on this, because their pocket clip is actually a removable design. So this is not the stock clip that the Streamlight Wedge came with. This is an aftermarket clip, because the Wedge uses the exact same pattern of pocket clip as Benchmade pocket knives. So if you have any Benchmade pocket clips, they use the same hole pattern. So whether it's a deep carry aftermarket model like this one, or whether you have a stock Benchmade clip, something like an anodized Benchmade clip, something like this, it's also deep carry, you can swap that in there as well, which is cool, because if you'd like to customize your gear and make your gear look unique, the pocket clip is one way you could totally do that, and the Streamlight Wedge lets you do that. There is a deep carry clip here on the Coast. Unfortunately, though, it's not quite compatible with any other aftermarket pocket clips. There are a few different clip types that would probably fit in well enough, but it's not exactly compatible with Benchmade. You can see the holes are just slightly too wide to fit a standard Benchmade clip. So sadly, what you get here, it's a good pocket clip, but this is the one and done clip. And you'll also notice their deep carry designs. On the Wedge, we have an option for left or right hand side carry, so you can unscrew these and flip the clip over if you're lefty or you want to put the light on your left hand pocket. Whereas with the Coast, we are a one position only. So while the Coast has a lot of cool features on it, they were trying to one up the Wedge here. I do think the Wedge got it right with the pocket clip and the carry style. Because again, with Benchmade compatible pocket clips, there is literally a whole aftermarket out there of making these cool deep carry titanium clips in every color under the sun. You can get clips to match the color of the light, so on and so forth. And Coast, we just have the one option. So if that's important to you, that's really kind of one of the big differences between these two lights. Because honestly, even the price of the two lights are similar enough. When you buy from Coast, a lot of the times you can go direct to their website, get 15, 20% off codes, and both of these lights come in, shipped to your door around the 70-ish, 75-ish dollar price point. And so there's really, in terms of price, there's no comparison. They're about the same, you know? So it depends on what you think looks cooler. In terms of overall carry size, they are about identical. So which brand do you trust more? I know Streamlight is very well known, like in the tactical light world. So they're definitely a known name brand. Coast is more well known in the work light world. They do a lot of work flashlights, work area lights, things like that, hard hat lights. But they're still a very reputable company based in the USA, great warranty service and things like that. So I don't think either light would let you down in those regards. But I just saw these two lights and I definitely wanted to make a quick comparison because in terms of brightness, they're about the same. They offer the same things. The Coast has a little more flexibility if you really want a low light option because it does have that low beam setting, whereas with the Wedge, it's just on and high power. But really, that's the only functional difference. Of course, the color is different, but they do offer the Wedge in a few different color options as well. And I'm sure if the Slayer is on the market long enough, they're going to offer this one in different colors as well. Style-wise, I like the Coast. It feels really nice in hand with the ergonomics. I like the button memory feature. But in terms of pocket clip and carry, I really prefer the Streamlight because I have a bunch of clips that I could easily swap out if this one gets bent or damaged or something crazy happens to it. I can just do that at home myself. I don't have to send it in for warranty or do any crazy stuff like that. So it really depends on what you're more leaning towards. But either way, I think you're going to win with either one of these flashlights. But really just making this video to make the comparison. So if you saw both and you wanted to make a purchase decision, maybe this helps, maybe not, or maybe neither of these lights were even on your radar, but now they are. So you're welcome for that. But I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. Would love to hear from you. Hope you all have a nice day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.